My mom didn't say it angrily. She didn't even sound upset. She said it the way people say things they've already decided are final. "We're broke," she told me over the phone. "This year is too hard. We can't afford a vacation." I remember standing in my kitchen, phone pressed between my shoulder and ear, staring at the sink full of dishes. Her voice sounded calm. Reasonable. Almost tired. "Oh," I said. "Okay." That was it. No argument. No questions. No why or how. Because growing up, I had learned that when my mom said something like that, pushing back only made things worse. Money had always been a sensitive subject in our family. Sometimes we had it. Sometimes we didn't. And when we didn't, we were expected to understand without being told the details. So I understood. I canceled my time off request at work. I told my friends I wouldn't be joining them anywhere this year. I stayed home while summer passed slowly, day by day, pretending I didn't feel left behind. My brother, on the other hand, didn't say much at all. He just said, "Yeah, it's probably for the best," when I mentioned the trip. His voice was distant, distracted, like he was already thinking about something else. I didn't notice it then. I wish I had. 2 weeks later, my company sent me on a short business trip. Nothing fancy. Early morning flight, back the same night. I packed light, arrived at the airport half asleep, coffee in hand, mind already on meetings and deadlines. The terminal was crowded. Families everywhere. Kids dragging backpacks. Parents juggling documents and snacks. I found my gate and sat down, scrolling through my phone. That's when I heard a laugh that felt familiar. I looked up. At first, my brain refused to connect the dots. Then I saw them. My brother's kids. Sitting comfortably in the waiting area for first class. They were sprawled across the seats like they owned them. One was playing on a tablet. The other was laughing, swinging their legs back and forth. Beside them, my brother stood with his wife, relaxed, smiling, passports already in hand. And next to them? My mom. She was wearing sunglasses indoors, a light scarf draped perfectly over her shoulders, holding a designer bag I knew she didn't buy on sale. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I checked the gate number again. Same airport. Same terminal. Same airline. I didn't walk over. I didn't wave. I didn't call out. I just watched. I watched as the boarding announcement came. I watched as first class was called. I watched my family stand up together, gather their things, and walk toward the gate agent. Comfortable. Excited. Not a trace of worry on any of their faces. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not anger. Clarity. Because standing there, holding my economy ticket, I finally understood something I had never allowed myself to consider before. We were never broke. I stayed where I was. That surprised even me. Old me would have walked straight over, heart racing, questions already burning my tongue. Old me would have demanded an explanation, would have tried to make sense of it out loud. But something about seeing them there, so relaxed, so prepared, quieted me. They hadn't made a mistake. They hadn't forgotten to tell me. This wasn't an accident. I watched as they handed over their boarding passes. The gate agent smiled, wished them a pleasant flight. My brother's kids bounced forward, excited. My mom followed last, adjusting her bag, not looking back even once. Not because she hadn't seen me. Because she hadn't looked. That detail mattered. I waited until they disappeared down the jet bridge before I stood up. My phone buzzed almost immediately. A message from my mom. Boarding now. Talk later. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Later. Later had always been her favorite word. Later meant not now. Later meant don't ask. Later meant you'll understand eventually. I didn't reply. On the plane, I sat by the window and let the city blur beneath me as we took off. My mind replayed every conversation from the past few months. Every time she'd said money was tight. Every time my brother had changed the subject. Every time I'd been told, gently but firmly, to be patient. It hadn't been about money. It had been about priorities. When I landed, I went straight to my meetings, smiled when expected, nodded when spoken to. No one there knew what had shifted inside me. That night, back in my hotel room, I opened my laptop. I didn't go looking for answers right away. I went looking for patterns. Bank statements. Shared accounts. Old family emails. Notes I'd ignored because I trusted too easily. It didn't take long. The money hadn't disappeared. It had been redirected. Trips booked under my brother's name. Expenses split in ways that conveniently excluded me. Conversations that happened without me, decisions made, plans confirmed, all while I was being told to understand. By the time my mom called the next evening, I already knew more than she realized. "How was your trip?" she asked cheerfully. "Fine," I said. "How was yours?" A pause. "Oh, she said lightly. "Nothing special." I smiled to myself. "Did you enjoy first class?" I asked. Silence. Not the kind where the call drops. The kind where someone is deciding how much to lie. "What do you mean?" she finally said. "I saw you," I replied calmly. "At the airport." Another pause. Then a sigh. "It wasn't like that." "It usually isn't," I said. She tried to explain. She talked about convenience. About the kids. About how things were complicated and I wouldn't understand the details. I let her talk. When she finished, I said only one thing. "Next time, don't tell me we're broke." The call ended shortly after. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't cut anyone off. I did something quieter. I stopped assuming my place in the family was fixed. Because once you realize you've been excluded on purpose, you stop waiting for an invitation. You start making decisions. They came back tanned. Relaxed. Full of stories. Photos appeared in the family group chat before I even heard their voices. Beaches. Hotel balconies. Plates of food arranged like art. My brother's kids smiling wide, arms stretched out in places I had never been. I didn't react. I didn't leave the group. I just watched. When my mom finally called, it was casual. Like nothing had happened. "We're home," she said. "We should all have dinner soon. All of us." The phrase almost made me laugh. "Sure," I said. "Let me know when." Dinner was set for Sunday evening. Same house I grew up in. Same table. Same seating arrangement that quietly reminded everyone where they belonged. My mom hugged me when I arrived, a little too tightly. My brother smiled, avoided my eyes, then busied himself helping the kids with their shoes. No one mentioned the trip. Not until dessert. "So," my mom said lightly, cutting into the cake, "did you get much done on your work trip?" "Yes," I replied. "I also learned a lot." She paused. "About work?" "About family," I said. The room went still. My brother cleared his throat. "Look, if this is about the vacation." "It is," I said. "And it isn't." They waited. I didn't mind staying home, I continued calmly. I minded being lied to. I minded being told we had no money while you were boarding first class. My mom's face tightened. "We didn't mean it like that." "I know," I said. "That's what makes it worse." Silence again. My brother finally spoke. "Things are just easier when there are fewer people involved." There it was. The truth, finally said out loud. I nodded slowly. I agree. They looked relieved until they realized what I meant. I'll make things easier for you too, I continued. I won't ask about trips. I won't expect explanations. And I won't rearrange my life around assumptions anymore. My mom frowned. What does that mean? It means, I said, if you say you can't afford something, I'll believe you, and act accordingly. For myself. My brother shifted uncomfortably. You're being dramatic. I smiled. No, I said. I'm being accurate. I finished my dessert, stood up, and thanked them for dinner. No argument. No shouting. No slammed doors. Just clarity. Over the next few months, things changed. Invitations came later. Updates became vaguer. Decisions happened without me, and for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to chase after them. I traveled on my own. I spent my money on things that mattered to me. I stopped waiting to be included. One day, my mom called unexpectedly. We're thinking about another trip, she said hesitantly. Would you like to come? I paused. Not because I was tempted. Because I was free. No, I said gently. I already have plans. What kind? She asked. My own, I replied. And when I hung up, I realized something important. They hadn't lost me that day at the airport. They lost the version of me that accepted less than honesty. And that version? Was never boarding first class anyway.